السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد. Today inshallah we'll continue our classes sessions in Janazah. We wanted to wrap up Janazah today. We'll try for that inshallah. And we'll have just 4 classes in February, and that's it for Ramadan, before Ramadan inshallah. Right, so the next 4 classes we're looking to start Zakah, right? Zakah in details. So if we finish today inshallah, we'll start Zakah from the first Wednesday next month. If not, we'll just run over to 1 class again. So I will go with the kafan shrouding. The shrouding. I will try to make it brief, but listen, as I mentioned, this is an interactive class. You ask questions, you participate. Alright? The kafan is the shrouding, and it's mustahab and desirable that what the kafan be what? Listen, not something too expensive, the best fabric, the best quality of cloth, and at the same time not something too cheap. Alright? Something medium quality. Why? Because this going to rot, right? This going to rot. So you don't use too much expensive thing. Why? Because you're going to cost extra money. That money could be given to the poor, right? Understand, an expensive kafan and shroud will not benefit the deceased, right? But yes, at the same time we have respect for the deceased. We honor the deceased. So we're doing you need a medium quality shrouding, not too expensive and not too cheap, all right? And if you look at the shrouding, it goes with the height, the length of the deceased, right? The length, you look at the height of the deceased, and you do that to gauge what the size of the shrouding. With regards to the shrouding, understand that it's permissible for a person in his lifetime to prepare his shrouding. You know what? Listen, this is my 3 pieces of cloth, my lifafa, izar, qamis. This is my shrouding, and I have my shrouding prepared before I die. That a person can do that. That is permissible to do that. It is not makruh dislike to do that. Person has his shrouding prepared. And just like listen, if you look at your shrouding, you know that one day you're going to be wrapped in that. It gives a person he becomes conscious, aware. Right, that is for that same reason Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, he told us to go visit the graveyard. فَإِنَّهَا يُذَكِّرُكُمْ بِالْمَوْتِ. It reminds us of death, it reminds us of the akhirah. So that is permissible. Right? What is not permissible, what is dislike, a person prepare his grave. You see this grave here? So he already have his grave dug waiting. Right? A person shouldn't do that. Right? So the kafan, we're going we cannot speed it up unless you have questions. So the kafan is shrouding of a man. The sunnah is 3 pieces of cloth. For the man, 3 pieces of cloth. I don't know what names they have it in English, but you have lifafa, which is the longest piece. And we mentioned we mentioned how we lay it out and the sequence, right? So you have the lifafa, which is the lifafa, the izar, and the qamis. This is the 3 pieces of cloth that the kafan that is used for a man. As for the lifafa, this is the longest piece, right? So the lifafa, that is the longest piece of cloth. That is longer than the head, and it is it goes beyond the head and it goes beyond the feet. Right? This is the longest piece. Then you have the qamis. The qamis is from the neck or the shoulders straight until the feet, that length. And then you have the izar. Right? The izar is from the head straight until the feet. Alright, so the shortest piece of cloth here for the man would be that of the qamis. The longest piece is that of the lifafa. As for a woman, the sunnah kafan is 5 pieces of cloth. These 3 that we just mentioned, the lifafa, the izar, the qamis. For the woman, the female, the kafan is 5 pieces of cloth. The same 3 as the men, the long what? Lifafa, the izar, the qamis. And beside these 3, the 2 extra one is what? You call any khimar. That khimar is that head covering, which covers from the head and covers the hair also. Right? From the head to the chest. That piece of cloth. Then you have what is called a khirqa. Khirqa, if you were to translate it or give describe that is the cloth that what covers the chest, right? The chest to the knees. So if you want to call it the chest cloth, right? So the 2 extra pieces what? The head cloth, the head covering, and the chest covering, right? So how are we going to lay out the kafan? We're going to lay out the kafan, the pieces of cloth. As for the man, not for the man, but generally, what is very important at all times, understand? At all times, the deceased must be covered. The aura of the deceased must be covered. So, what is there before the shrouding is the ghusl. So, in the ghusl, the whole ghusl process, the deceased, the aura of the deceased is covered at all times. Now after the ghusl, the body is dried up. In that process also, it is covered, right? It is covered. Now afterward, the body has been dried, we're going to put the body on the shrouding, right? So the first thing that we put, right? You can put it at the end, but what? The first thing that is normally placed is what? These strings. The strings that we used to tie the shroud, the entire shrouding at the end. So we have 3 strings, one normally placed what? Beyond the head, one beyond the feet, and one at the middle. And this is what? The purpose of this string is to prevent the aura, the body from being exposed at the time of what? Transporting, when the body is being transported. Alright, these strings will be loosened when the body is placed in the grave. After the body is placed in the grave, these strings are loosed out. Right? So we have the order. So the first that we place is the lifafa. This is the longest piece. Alright? This is spread first on the table, however, we're going to rest the deceased. This first piece of cloth is the lifafa that is what placed. The second, on top of that lifafa, remember the lifafa, it goes beyond the head, it goes beyond the feet. Then we have the izar. The izar is from the head to the feet, so a little smaller than the first one, than the lifafa itself. So that is spread on top of the lifafa. The first thing that is spread is the lifafa, right? The second one that is spread is what? The izar. People translate as the loin cloth, right? But the izar. And the third one that is spread is what? The qamis. Alright? But there are 2 ways we could do this can be done. One is that, okay, we spread the qamis on top of the izar, which is on top of the lifafa. But the qamis, as opposed to what? The 2 other types of cloth, the izar and the lifafa, the qamis is a double cloth. Alright? No, the body what? The ghusl finished, the body covered. Alright? The body covered in that area. Now we're spreading the cloth at the front area. Alright? Want to not dissect this ears? We could use it in a way, we're not going to tear it up. Alright. Alright. So normally what? The izar, say this is the lifafa. This is spread first. Right? As for the izar will be a little what? Shorter, because the izar is from the head to the feet. Right? So this would be here. Understand the deceased? Somewhere else. Now we have the qamis. The qamis is from the neck. Qamis is where like a shirt, people are kurta, jubba, something like this, you know, a long shirt. The qamis is what? A double what? double cloth. That is from the neck until what? Until the feet. Alright? Some mention any after what? Until the shin. But until the feet, that is okay. Right? Until the feet. So this kameez, normally you have a what? A slit at the middle here. You cut this like a T. You cut here. How is this? This is what? This is horizontal. And you cut, make in front here a vertical cut, just in front here. This is what? Tucking the head. This is the deceased. Right. So as we mentioned, two ways we could do this. We can place the kameez here on top of the izar. We'll have a little open like this. Alright. And now you will what? Transport or place the deceased covered, right, on top of the kameez, the inside part of the kameez, right, and try to what? Fit in what? The head like this. So after that, now this cloth is removed. You don't need this again because the outer is now covered. This is the head there. Right? This is the head. Now, we're going to what? We're going to fold these three pieces of cloth. So we're going to start with what? The first one here. This is what? The kameez. So understand? You're going to start with the left. Right? Not left, right. You're going to start with the left side. So this is his right side here, and this is his left side. Why is starting with the left? I'll show you why. So that the right fold will be on top. Right? You start with, you fold it like this. Right? You start with the left, and then right. This is your kameez there. Similarly, the izar. So at this point here now, the deceased, he would be covered totally. This is until the head. Left, right. Then this is what? Elifafa. Left, right. And what we have here, we have what? The strings. Right? So we tie here. The cloth would be more soft. You tie this area, you tie at the feet here, and you tie what? At the middle. This is what? The shrouding of the deceased. Right? And if you do it again, you'll see what? Listen, wait, so easy this is? And we take anybody and can all, a whole long ride up what? North side, and then bring it down. This is what they do. Right?
When you show it like that, I understand exactly what you say before you tie the string on a fabric. There is a natural thing there, so that's what we say. But we know that what is happening. The case is we open sometimes to put it through whatever it is. And then we back everything we just
like here now, all they do is this. Remember what? Like this. This is the ilifafa, the one at the there's only two cloths you have to lose anyhow, if you have to lose. The one at the bottom, alright, which is the lifafa, and next one which is the izar. As to the kameez is still here anyhow, right? So, understand nothing wrong in what? Looking at what? Looking at the body, looking at the face, right? Meaning what? Family members, but you don't have it for display, you know, that causes a delay and something, you know. And more so what? At least the family members, they should have right to that, alright? And if there's time, yes, but you're not going to what? Have a display that would cause a delay. Janazah is already 3 o'clock, so that viewing or whatever could be done before 3 o'clock, right? And more so, listen, the family has more rights to the body. If the family want to what? Keep the body until what? 3 o'clock, that is their right, alright? They want to keep the body, they want to be with the body until what? Until the Janazah, we need to respect that. Right? It's not okay, you only do fast, people want to see the body. No, who has more rights? The family members, right? So this is what? You're shrouding here, right? And normally, we had mentioned when we was doing the ghusl, the parts of the parts of the body that touches the ground in sajda, kanfa is placed what? On those parts. Right? So if it wasn't done then it could be done after what? After when you qamis, right? It could be done then. And we mentioned also that the knees, right? The knees of the man to man, right? The knees what? Is awra. The knees is his awra, is his private part. So you don't take it with your bare hand and put what? The kanfa on the knees of the deceased. Use a glove. Why? Because this is his private part. Right? The navel to the knee, including the knees, are the private parts of a man. Right, so this now, what's the difference between this one, between the man and the woman in shrouded, right? But before we go to that, we have mentioned, listen, the other way that could be done, you spread what? You spread first the lifafa, then you spread the izar. And here now, you have the deceased on the table here, you wear the qamis, you put on the qamis there, right? You put on the qamis there, and now you transport or you move the deceased to this area, wearing the qamis, and you place him on top of the izar, right? So two ways you could do it. Have him wear the qamis before, and then place him on what? The izar, which is resting upon the lifafa, or he is what? Sorry, I haven't covered, right? Or you do like this. Spread the qamis like this, right? Open it out, and you normally have help when you're doing this, sorry. So, right? So you bring the deceased like this, covered, right? With this cloth. This cloth is just to cover what the hour of the deceased. You place him on the qamis itself, right? You get the head through, right? And then you can remove this piece of cloth, and then you start the wrapping any process, all right? As for the female, all right, the two extra pieces of cloth we mentioned, the head covering and the chest covering, then the chest cloth and the head cloth, right? So this case over here, we have the woman is placed like this. According to the Hanafi madhab, the hair is parted into two and placed in front like this. Right, so this goes over the qamis, right? That goes what? Over the qamis. So the hair would be like this. Now this is the cloth, or this is the how you call it? The face cover. You place this over here. Cover the what? The face until what? The hair. Right? And we wrap like how we wrapped before. But there's one piece of cloth, what you call that khirqa, that chest, right? The chest cloth is normally placed between the lifafa and the izar, right? So you have one like this, but placed in this area here, right? And as we mentioned, that is from what? The chest until the knee, right? People call it the underwear, right? But it's the same thing. So normally placed what? Between the lifafa and the izar, right? There's also what? That could be placed between the qamis and the izar also, right? And some what? Jurists they mentioned they can be placed even what? Before, right? Before the lifafa, right? Meaning what? The first piece of cloth, right? So this is what? There's what? Allowance and vastness in this piece, right? The chest cloth. And is wrapped in a similar way, right? So until now, the deceased, the female is what? Totally covered. You wrap the qamis left, then right. Left, this is the izar now, then right. And you have this what? This is supposed to be a long piece of cloth, just like this. That will come left and right. And then wrap the izar, not the izar, we call this the lifafa, left, right. And you tie here on the top, You tie at the bottom and you tie the middle. Right? So this is what? This is your shrouding. Alright? And if I don't want to demonstrate, you need a real example, practical example. Right? But anybody has any questions with regard to this? Shrouding? Shrouding of a man, the shrouding of a woman. We feel what? Simple, simple. Right? You understand? Oh. No, that is you call it a hijab, the head covering, the headgear, the hijab, right? That covers from the head straight until what? Where until the chest area. Right? People call it urni, you call it headgear, hijab, whatever, right? Because it's used to cover from what? The head until the chest area. Cover the hair then. Remember the hair is placed on what? The bosom, right and left, and that piece of cloth would cover from the head and cover the hair also. Right, the ruling of that, okay, those in the lifetime of the woman who is permitted to see her, it will be what the same people that will be permitted to see her what? When she dies. Right? For example, a woman, she's wearing what? Hijab. A woman, khalas, she's wearing niqab. So no one can see her except what? Her mahram, her husband, her mahram. So when she dies, the same rule would apply. Right? Only those people will be allowed to see her. Right? So, right, understand? There's no, let me tell you something about viewing and seeing the body, right? You'll hear people say, you know what, I'm going to pay my last respect to the deceased. Last tribute to the deceased, right? And when they mention, this is what? The people here, many Westerners who live, right? In the non-Islamic world then, right? Their last tribute to the deceased, their respect to the deceased, right, is what? Looking at the face. That is their last respect to the deceased, right? As for the laws of the Sharia, the last haqq and the right that the deceased has upon the living, that they do what? They ghusl, shrouded, janazah, burial. Alright? This is the last right. Right? We're not saying, okay, you're not allowed to what? To view the body. You could view the body, right? A person can look at the face, right? But as we mentioned, this is not something that, okay, a part of what? The janazah or a part of the Islamic tradition that what? The body what? The face be what? Exposed and everybody just pass and then look. That is not okay. A part of the janazah. You understand? We have what? The shrouding, you have ghusl, you have this, you have that, you have transporting the deceased, you have all these things. But you're not going to find in the Sharia, okay, the sunnah method of viewing the deceased. The sunnah method of what? Displaying the deceased. Right? That is not from what? The sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. But we're not saying, okay, it is what? Haram and impermissible. Right? But it should not be what? That, okay, you have the deceased, right? For public display, and that causing what? It causes what? A delay in the janazah. For example, we have the janazah. After the janazah salah, we take the body immediately to the cemetery. Now to delay taking the body to the cemetery because of viewing, this is when it becomes what? Unlawful. Why? Because it causes what? An unnecessary delay. Right? But just say, for example, one of the family members now come, right? Or somebody close to the deceased now come and, and wasn't able to see what the deceased before the janazah, right? So he's allowed to do that. right? Yes, there's the allowance is there, but not just to have the deceased you need for public display and everybody come and see, right? No blessings in that, no reward and thawab in what? In just coming and viewing what? The deceased. Huh? Yes, so that's their concept. This is their concept of what? Tribute to the deceased, right? Pay what? My last tribute or what? Respect to the deceased, right? And as we mentioned, that what? The deceased, the family has all rights, right? It's not like, okay, after what? When the funeral home brings the body, now what? The body will be outside for the public and this and that. Sometimes, listen, normally when I do janazah, right, I say, listen, when the body come, keep the body in the house, right? Keep the body in the house for what? The household people, right? Sometimes we have what? We have the body listening to the bayan for 20 minutes, right? No, khalas, the bayan is for what? The living. The nasiha, the lecture, what? That is for who? The deceased not hearing anything, right? So that few moments, understand, is an emotional time, right? So that few moments, right? Leave that body with what? The household members. On time for janazah, yes, you'll bring out the body for janazah. Right? We have a little talk, a little nasiha. Why? Because listen, we tell the people janazah is what? 3 o'clock. Right? So people already gathered 2 o'clock, you know. So khalas, they already gathered. Give them some advice, some nasiha. Right? The nasiha and the advice is not for what? It's not for the what? The deceased. It's for the living. Right, the recitation of Yani Surah Yasin, we mentioned that in the beginning, right? There are two what? There one narration, two views, right? One, Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, he mentioned, Iqra'u Yasin ala mawtakum. Recite Surah Yasin upon what? Your dead. So the two views over here, and both are correct. One view is that what? Ala mawtakum, upon your dead, meaning a person muhtadar, a person dying. Some of the ulama, they of the opinion, what is meant over here? Recite Surah Yasin when that person is dying. Right? That is one interpretation, and that is correct. A second interpretation is what? Upon the dead, meaning what? When a person, what? He goes to the grave, right? He's allowed to recite Surah Yasin, right? Recite Surah Yasin on the qabr, on the graveyard. He's allowed to do that, right? But here now, to recite Surah Yasin in a janazah, right? That has no basis, right? Meaning what? If it is what? Understand? If it is 3 o'clock and he could do all that before 3 o'clock, then no problem. But if janazah is 3 o'clock, then khalas. You're not supposed to delay that. So after janazah is what? Performed, the body is what? Taken to the cemetery. If we're going to read Surah Yasin, that will take about 10 minutes. Janazah will be delayed, right? So to delay the janazah for something which is not a sunnah, right? Then that is what? That is disliked. Alright? Understand? Just say what? Just say for example to what? The body comes what? The janazah is 3 o'clock, announcement is for 3 o'clock, and the body happens to come, listen, 5 to 3 or 10 to 3. But we don't prepare a long list over here, put a talk and it's going to talk and talk and talk and talk. Right, so what are you going to do now? Right, you're talking and talking and talking, it's going to cause what? It's going to cause a delay in the janazah. A delay in the janazah, a delay in the burial. Right? The Prophet ﷺ mentioned, Asri'u bil janazah, hasten in that, right? So we understand, we're not saying, okay, the person died now, we bury him what, next hour. No, you have all the legalities and this and that. And also what? You send out what? Any announcement, you give people ample time to what? To gather. And, you know, so a delay for that reason is okay, right? Not that, okay, listen, we've set a time 3 o'clock, and we see now, listen, after the talk and everything, is it 2:45. We finish the program early. So you know what? We're gonna hasten the janazah. No, we already made what? Arrangement, people leaving from far to attend this janazah, right? So the more people and he performs salatul janazah upon that person, it is better. Now it's 3 o'clock. If you wait the next 10-15 minutes, more people will come in. Oh no, khalas, 3 o'clock and you do your janazah. Understand? Whatever we are keeping back that person for, it is not better than what Allah Azza wa Jal has installed waiting for that person. Right? Sometimes people they act upon based on emotions, right? Listen, that day everybody have their own day, right? That day, that is his day, right? That is the dead man day, or the deceased, that is his day. So in his day, listen, you do everything within the Sharia that would be of a benefit to him, right? Not based on emotions, right? Now, so we have some common mistakes regarding shrouding, the shrouding of the deceased, right? Some people take cotton and they soak that cotton into in ether, perfume, and put it in the nose and the ears of the deceased. That has no basis, right? That has no basis, right? Also, we want that to understand here. And if you look deep, you'll see is just to please me. To please me. Let me think about the deceased, right? It's just to please the living, or to please a few of the family members, right? They quote, Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam prohibited when a person dies that his hair be cut, his nails be clipped. But we want that he look nice, so shave him up. You see how looking nice? See how he's smiling? What benefit is that? Where did we see in the Quran and the Hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, that person who has a smiling face, the day of his janazah would enter into Jannah? No. Nothing like that. Right? But understand, we would be sinful if we cut the hair of the deceased, we shave the hair of the deceased, we clip the nails of the deceased, right? The deceased would not be harmed. He would not be accountable unless he knew that was going to happen, and he never mentioned, listen, he didn't mention when I die, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. If he didn't mention that, he may be held accountable also. Alright? So all these things are not permissible. Also, what is not permissible to write verses in the shrouding, that is something blessed, or sticking some Arabic or some verses of the Quran within the shrouding. All these things, it has it has no basis. Alright? Put surma in his eyes. No, that didn't come in the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Understand, if we want to benefit the deceased, then put your emotions aside. Look at the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Look at the Quran. Look at the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. Those things that would be of benefit to the deceased, this is what we're going to do. That is one. Secondly, those things that would be of benefit to the living. Understand, when we do these things, right? When we see about the deceased, and a proper method of shrouding and ghusl and this and that, who's going to benefit? The living. Right? We also see they to gain rewards also, and all of that is done. Listen, we will only get rewards if it is in line with the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Your good intention doesn't mean anything. No, but I shaved the hair or cut the hair, and I had a good intention behind it. Your good intention don't change the laws of the Sharia. Your good intention doesn't bring extra thawab and rewards. No. If it is the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, this is what we're going to do. Right? This is what we're going to do, and this would bring rewards, and this would be of benefit to the deceased. Now we have what? Do you have any water? Yeah, this is the fourth class in Janazah. Yeah, this is. Question? Right, so we come into right, good. We have what? The lineup here is what? Shrouding, Janazah, burial. Right? We're still in shrouding, and we're supposed to inshallah, if you have to go one class again to finish it off, we'll go down one class. But inshallah, just after shrouding, inshallah, we're going to do what? The Janazah itself. And the laws pertaining to Janazah. Right? So what about in the deceased children? Right? Are they shrouded just like how the adults are shrouded? Right? Understanding what? If they're what? Ritually any mature baligh, yeah, the shrouding will be the same. If they are not baligh, close to bulugh, right? Yes, it's better that they be shrouded like adults. For the men, the 3 pieces of cloth, and for what? The female, the 5 pieces of cloth. All right? If they are what? Listen. If they are very what? Small, right? Very young, right? At least what? 2 pieces of cloth. 2 pieces of cloth for what? The boys, at least 2 pieces of cloth for the boys, and 3 pieces of cloth for the girls. All right? And now, if you have what? Infant then. Now, somebody raise their hand just now? No? All right. So, if a child, right, a child passes away immediately after delivery, right? If a child dies immediately after delivery, there's 2 rulings over here, right? One is what? A child born dead, yani stillborn, and a child born alive, and then that child dies. Right? If the child was born alive, and how do we know? How would we determine that this child, the child was born alive? You'll see signs of life in the child, right? The child may not necessarily have to cry to show that there's life. The movements of what? The limbs, the movements of the eyes, right? So this shows that what? There's what? Life, the signs of life. So once there's signs of life and that child dies, then that child would be given first what? Child will be given a name, that child will be shrouded, right? And Salat al-Janazah will be performed on that child, right? And such a child, it is what? 1 piece of cloth could use to what? Wrap that child, right? You don't have to what? These what? The 3 pieces of cloth, right? Or the 5 pieces of cloth. No, 1 piece of cloth, that child is wrapped, and Salatul Janazah is performed. So the coffin here, the shrouding will just be what? 1 piece of cloth, the child will be wrapped in that, and Salatul Janazah will be performed. Alright? What about any stillborn, child born dead? So if a child is born what? Then he dead, then that child, a name would be given, right? That child would be what? Wrapped in a cloth. The child would be buried also, except there is no janazah, right? There is no janazah for a child that is born dead. So what about a woman, she has a miscarriage, all right? If she has what? A miscarriage, you look at what? The formation or the development of the fetus. If the fetus, there's what? The limbs started to form, right? The limbs attached to the body, the limbs started to form, except they're not what? Form fully, right? But they can make out what? The hands and the feet and this and that, right? They form but not fully, then the same rule will apply, right? That what? You wash, wrap, and bury without janazah, right? Right. So we go straight to the janazah now. Any questions before we move on to the janazah itself? What's that?
You don't get everybody free to answer. You know, I answer questions.
The janazah itself. So the janazah itself, Salatul Janazah, as we mentioned, just like the ruling, is Fard Kifaya. Fard Kifaya means what? If one or a few people in the locality were to take that responsibility and execute that action, it would absorb the rest from that responsibility. We made the distinction between Fardu Ain and Fardu Kifaya. Fardu Ain is like the 5 times daily salah, that your salah, your zakah, your fasting, right? It is obligation upon each and every ain, each and every individual, right? Fardu Kifaya, it is what? If a few people were to do it, 1 or 2 people were to do it in the community, it would absolve the rest from that obligation. But if no one does it, right, then everybody would be accountable, everybody would be taken into account, right? The entire community would be sinful. As for the location of the janazah salah, right, and that is what? That could vary, it depends on what convenience, right? Understand there's no virtue, it's not something virtuous to have a janazah at a person's house, the house of the deceased, it must be there. That could vary, it depends, right? Whoever convenient, right? Whoever the family likes, that is not an issue, right? So there's no hard and fast rule of exactly where the janazah should be performed, right? And sometimes, listen, yeah, if it's convenience, right? You went over that. Well, how? All right, we'll bring it to that. Exactly. Right. So listen, if it's convenience, right? I don't know. For me, right, the most convenient place to have, I don't know, but I mean, I could be wrong, right? But the most convenient place that a janazah could take place is what? Away from the house of the deceased. Listen, the family members, they what? They know what? They need time to what? To mourn, right? They're in grief, they're in sorrow, right? They had to call and order tent and chair and this and that and entertain the guests and this and whoever, right? So sometimes what it takes a toll on what? The family of the deceased, right? But nevertheless, this is what most people do, and nothing wrong with that, right? Nothing wrong with that, right? So the location, as I mentioned, is up to the family, wherever they want to have it, right? Wherever they want to have it, right? Who should what? Lead the janazah, right? Who should what? Lead the janazah. The janazah salah, right? Who is what better, or the best person to lead the salatul janazah is the imam of what? The masjid, right? Is the imam of the masjid. He has what? More authority and more haqq of leading the salatul janazah than anybody else. Why? Because the deceased in his lifetime, he was pleased with this person as his imam. So hence he will be pleased as what? With this person to do his what? Salah when he passes away. Right? So this is the general rule. Unless there's the wali or the guardian here refers to what? The father or the son of the deceased. If the father or the son of the deceased, right, is more knowledgeable, right, than the imam of the masjid itself, he is more knowledgeable, awla, afdal, then he has more rights, right? He would have more right over the imam of the masjid, right? All of this is what? Provided that what? The deceased, he didn't leave any instructions behind. He didn't leave any instructions behind, and he didn't say, listen, when I die, I want that Omar perform my janazah. If he mentioned, listen, when I die, I want that what? Omar perform my janazah. Then Omar, he has what? All rights to perform that janazah. Alright?
So if Omar not think of not
Huh? If not, he don't want to do it. No, khalas, if you don't know, then khalas. If you don't know how to perform salatul janazah, then what? Somebody else would have to perform it. No, understand. If the request is valid, right? Yes, you fulfill that request, right? You try to fulfill that request if it is valid, right? If it's not valid, then what? It would not be fulfilled. For example, listen, a person died, and he said, listen, when I die, cremate my body, right? And you bring witness to sign and everything, and make sure, right? No, khalas, you don't do that, right? Not allowed to do it. When I die, take what? $10,000 from my estate and give it towards the building of a temple down the road there, right? Because you don't promise it the pundit already, right? No, you don't execute that, right? So once it contradicts the laws of the Sharia, it will not be executed, right? Also, for the janazah to be what? Valid, the body must be present. The Hanafi madhab, there's not like any salah ala al-ghaib, right? Other madhahib, what? They allow that, right? The Hanafi madhab does not allow that because of the numerous evidence in the hadith that does not support the performance of salah ala al-ghaib, a person that is not present, right? So the body must be present. The body must be present for that janazah to occur, for that janazah to take place, right? This man missing, well, he probably dead now. We do janazah. No, khalas, right? This body what? Already what? Rotten, right? No janazah, right? So the body must be there. The body must be present. The person must be what? A Muslim, right? The person must be what? A Muslim, right? Sometimes what? People they grow up as what? Muslim, then they change the religion to what? Another religion, and come into what? The end now. Hey, when I die, you have what? Take me to the church and do my what? Funeral, and then take me to what? The mosque and do a janazah. It don't work like that, right? It don't work like that. It is not permissible for us, for the living, to do Salatul Janazah on a non-Muslim, right? And understand, there's no benefit, right? There's no benefit in doing what? Salatul Janazah on a non-Muslim. If the whole world comes together and do Salatul Janazah, all the Imams, all the Mashayikh, they do Salatul Janazah on a non-Muslim, right? He would remain a non-Muslim, right? That would be of no benefit, except that those who do such an act, they will be accountable. Right, so the person must be a Muslim. So how are we going to know he's a Muslim? Now, question? Backtrack, okay.
If suppose he makes that request and the people fulfill that request, who will be responsible?
Both of them. لا طاعة لمخلوق في معصية الخالق. There is no obedience to the creation when it involves disobedience to the creator. So both will be what? Both will be sinful, right? The person what? The deceased, he will be what? Sinful for leaving such instructions, right? Such wasiyah and instructions and such bequests. And also what? Those who are to execute those bequests, they will be accountable also because it contradicts the laws of the Sharia. Force, understand?
For example, force and say, I want me to meet it, witness, statements, or whatever, sign, whatever it is, and bring against that to make it lock up of my
Why you get locked up for that?
If you do so,
No, the law, even what? The law, the land what?
He said, I won't be cremated.
Right, so understand, okay. Right. So even the law of the land, a person have the right to withdraw, to decline, right? They have the right. When I die, I want Mr. Akal do my cremation, right? And they sign it off and have witnesses and whatever, probably lawyer and everything, right? You have the right to decline.
No, well, let me say, the family, there are some family, right? Many families just living as a Muslim, they do nothing as a Muslim. They are Muslims. You can't say they're not Muslims. Right? But they are doing nothing as a Muslim. And they dress anyway, they do it. And they say, when the father, they all say, when I get, I want to be cremated. And the wife, she's like the man like the father. Right? And that wife go on If she had do it, you should not lose on her. That's the only people
right, the same response. Right, that doesn't change. And some ways compulsion. And the Sharia define what? Okay, under compulsion. Right, a person doing something under compulsion. That compulsion means what? That will necessitate, right, the loss of life or the loss of a limb. Right? That man, he compelled me to do that. He forced me to do that. Right? Somebody come and say, listen, if you don't do that, I will shoot you. I will kill you. So you now, according to the laws of the Sharia, you now have to what? Be what? You have to be, understand, you have to be 100% sure or close to 100% that this person, what he's saying, he could execute it. Right? Everybody wanted to what? Kill everybody. I will kill you. I will shoot you. And what will they say? He just have mouth. He just thought he can't do that. Right? But a person would know if this person can what? Actually execute that threat. Right? And the threat over here we're speaking about is death or the loss of a limb. That is compulsion. Otherwise, the fear of anything else, the fear of losing this or losing that, that doesn't fall under any force. In the Sharia, that would change your ruling. Right, understand? Nobody can what? Compel an next person. Right? Listen, when I die, right? When I die, I want what? Such and such to do my janazah. Such and such not compelled to do janazah. Meaning what? That person, if he wishes to what? If he wishes to what? To what you call it? To fulfill what? That request, he can do it, but he's not obliged to do that condition. He's not obliged to do it. Alright? If he wants to do it, he can do it. Right? But what we say, okay, this, since the deceased one mentioned this person, this is the first person we should really check. Right? He has more rights. Right? If he declines, then what? This one. If he declines, then that one.
What if somebody commits suicide?
Let me just what? Zoom up this here, right? That's the next one here, watch. Muslim, we have suicide right here. Okay? Right? So suicide. If a person commits suicide, does that make him a non-Muslim? The question. Once that person is a Muslim, it is what? Mandatory upon what? The living to perform Salatul Janazah. Right? This is the right that the dead has upon the living. Right? That Muslim. So the question here now, if a person commits suicide, he takes his life, does that take him out the fold of Islam? If a person dies what? Because of committing suicide, does that make him what? A non-Muslim? No. It's a major sin. Yes, it's a major sin. Something despicable, whatever you want to call it, right? A kabira, right? A big sin, a great sin, right? But it doesn't take the person out of the fold of Islam. So he dies as a what? As a Muslim, right? He dies as a Muslim. So Salatul Janazah will be performed or should be performed. Alright? It's up to you if you want to what? Participate or not. Alright? As we mentioned, what is what? Fard Kifaya. So if a few people do that would suffice. Right? But it must be done. Right? Right. So here now, this is what? This you always hear this talk, right? Nothing wrong with it, right? It stems from what? Many books of any fiqh, that if a person were to commit suicide, he were to take his life, he were to die by killing himself, right? He dies as a Muslim, except that what? The alim, the scholar, the imam, right, should not participate in that janazah to show that, listen, to show what the severity of that crime, to show how hideous that act is, right? He should refrain, right? That should refrain and should not, that is not a command, right? Better that he don't do it, right? Meaning what? But it doesn't mean that what he cannot perform Salatul Janazah on him. It's not what? Permissible for him to perform Salatul Janazah on him, right? And understand here, if he were to perform Salatul Janazah, would he get a qirat? Will he get a qirat? He would still get a qirat. And if he buries him also, he'll get 2 qirat. Right? So understand the whole reason of what? The whole reason why the learned person what? Withdraws, the imam withdraws to show that, listen, to give the people a message in the community that, listen, this crime is what? Despicable. Right? A person, listen, they want that when they die, the imam do janazah for them. When they die, what? The sheikh do janazah for them. This person do janazah for them. Right? And they see that, listen, what? This person died committing suicide. Look what? These ulama didn't do janazah for him. It serves as what? A hindrance then. Right? Otherwise, it doesn't mean that what is not permissible. Right? And because that person committed suicide, I'm not going to perform Salatul Janazah upon him. If you look at the flip side of that, right? That came in what the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ also, when a person what? He committed suicide, right? Nabi ﷺ, he mentioned, Sallu ala sahibikum. A person what? He died having what? Debts that he didn't leave any provisions to pay that debt, right? Sallu ala sahibikum. You all perform salah upon him. He didn't perform salah. Right? Why? To emphasize, listen, don't just take debts and have no means of paying and leaving no provisions of paying. Right? So this was to teach a lesson. Otherwise, listen, who performed the salah? Any Sahaba? They were the greatest ulama. We better than what? The Sahaba? Our rank what? Being an imam or being a scholar is what? Higher than that of a Sahabi? No. Right? And they what? They performed the janazah. Right? That is one. Secondly, listen. Al-ilmu inda Allah. Allah Azza wa Jal khalas, He has the knowledge of everything. Right? Sometimes, okay, we may what? We may assume, okay, sometimes it's clear as daylight. We know, right? There's no ambiguity there. But sometimes, listen, there's somewhat ambiguous. Listen, we think that this person killed himself. We think that, this person what? Took his own life. We didn't see, but we assume, yeah, he man killed himself, boy. Right? We don't know for sure. Right? Secondly, a person, listen, say a person took his life, just say, the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that Allah Azza wa Jal yaqbalu tawbat al-abdi ma lam yugharghir. Allah Azza wa Jal, He would accept the tawbah and the repentance of a person so long as his soul does not reach the truth. When a person what? Commits suicide, right, there's a possibility that that person what? He lives for a short period of time before he actually dies. And in that short period of time, what's suffocating or suffering or whatever, we don't know that person what? He made tawbah to Allah Azza wa Jal. Sincere tawbah, right? And the promise of Allah Azza wa Jal, that person make what sins, he could do whatever sin. He makes sincere tawbah, Allah Azza wa Jal would forgive that person. He would forgive the sins of that person. So it could be that that person, what he died, leaving this world sinless. We don't know. Right? So khalas, the underlying thing over here, what? Once that person is a Muslim, we do Salatul Janazah. Now, I think we over. No, what? You go ahead. We'll stop here. And we'll have one more class again because we ain't reaching the cemetery yet. The janazah ain't start yet also. Alright?
I was asking about the hadith about a certain number of people performing janazah. Is it that the cease is given a certain number?
All these things are, listen, good signs. Right? These things are bushra, bashara, glad tidings. Right? But the ultimate thing is that person dies upon iman, dies upon a'mal, right? Yes, something blessed, virtuous. A person dying in Jumu'ah, the day of Jumu'ah. A person, in his janazah, we have what? There are many people attended his janazah. These are good signs, right? But this is not the decisive factor. Never at all the decisive factor, right? If you look at what? A big congregation, right? Many people non-Muslim that they have what? Big congregation, right? So big numbers is what? Not the decisive factor, right?
Is it first that a Muslim go to us?
Where's that?
Is it first a Muslim going like you do there for
yeah. Understand? It's not fard. Understand? Is that the same thing we were speaking about, right? Many people of they have the concept, the assumption, listen, my last tribute and respect to the deceased is to present myself, or look at his face, or show up at the house, or be around for what? The funeral. And for them, they consider this to be what? Their last right? A person now, in Sharia, the last rite is what? That person what? Shrouding, ghusl, shrouding, janazah, burial. Right? This is where the rewards lie. If a person just what? He comes to the place of janazah, right? To listen what? A talk or a bayan, right? And that person refuses to what? Perform salatul janazah, refuses to what? To participate in the burial, then what? You just occupying space. Go home. No, serious. What benefit? You're not benefiting yourself, right? No, you're benefiting the deceased, right? If you what? Participate in Salatul Janazah, khalas, we make dua for the deceased. He benefits. We perform Salatul Janazah, one qirat, right? And we what? We follow the janazah to the cemetery, we help in what? The burial process, and next qirat, right? But that person just come and just what? Standing in the pavement and just blocking traffic, and what are you doing? Right?
Is it a sin? Is it a sin? The reason I'm asking this, as you said, that there's some people
no, that person, understand, that person not sinful, right? Because it's not a fard act that he's what? Leaving out, right? He's just been deprived of what? Many rewards, right? We understand that person who couldn't make it for the janazah. He couldn't make it, right? He had commitment. He just couldn't make it for the janazah, right? But here we're speaking about that person who had made time to come for the janazah, right? And just refused to perform the janazah. So that is that person mahroom. That person. Right, so as I mentioned, it's not a fard act, so that person, he will not be sinful for what? Leaving out a fard act, right? Yes, that person may be blameworthy because what that's a direct contradiction of the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, to be present what? At the time of the janazah and refusing to participate in the janazah, alright? And listen, oh, this is the shoulder, right? And understand, the tahara, cleanliness, wudu, right? This is what a person's salah would not be valid. Salatul janazah would not be valid unless that person he has wudu. The same conditions for the validity of our salah, the same conditions would apply for any salatul janazah. So if we want our salatul janazah to be valid, we want to benefit the deceased and we want to benefit ourselves, then we need to adhere to these what? These requirements. Check the imams. Yeah, all that coming up, inshallah. We have all that inside here, inshallah. Right, so we have one more class again in janazah. طيب جزاكم الله خيرا. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. سبحان الله وبحمده. سبحان الله وبحمده.